Michigan Muckraker. My name's Michelle. Today is November 28th of 2023. And on Thursday, November 30th of this year, of course, the United Nations is going to be in Dubai with the Pope and the King of England, of course, Charles, and they're going to be discussing how to get rid of fossil fuels. So again, that's in Dubai at Expo City, which is the first smart city of the UAE, but I'm pretty sure it's the first smart city that I know of that they call a smart city, and we're going to look at it because it looks like it might be the way Grand Rapids, Michigan is going. Now they have a new soccer stadium that's coming, and some of the pictures, what is the word? Well, they're coming up with plans, and some of those plans have pictures in them, and it looks very futuristic. Like in it, there will be some movement in, to make it close and open. I don't know for sure yet, obviously, because it's just in the beginning stages. But the other thing that is making Grand Rapids even closer to a smart city is the announcement that I'm going to share with you from WZZM 13 that Grand Rapids on all of the off-ramps are going to put cameras so that they can protect people from wrong way drivers, because there were 36 people, I think, since 2018. I don't know the exact number, so I shouldn't even say it. But basically, they're saying it's for safety, but of course it's for surveillance. So every off-ramp is going to have a camera on the sign so they can look. If you're going the right way, then guess what's there? Your license plate. So they can look at every single license plate and track every time you get off an exit. It drives me crazy, but we're going to get into that. I also have some more video footage of January 6th that's coming out. Of course, we're going to keep seeing this, so I'm just going to keep trickling it into these videos. And then voter fraud, same thing. Out of Detroit, Michigan, I believe, a video came out about voter fraud, and I'm going to let her explain exactly what she saw. And then I want to talk about, hopefully, solar geoengineering becoming a respectable idea, when for years people were called crazy conspiracy theorists, and now they're just coming out and saying, hey, yeah, we want to block the sun with a bunch of chemicals, and we've been doing it, and we think it's a good idea. Gonna get into that, and then a little bit on the metaverse if we have time. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're into Industry 4.0 content, the metaverse, the Internet of Things, electric vehicles, all that jazz, the green energy, then please consider subscribing. I talk a lot about Michigan because a lot is going on here in Michigan, but you can find all of this happening in your city too. There are cameras and surveillance implementation going on. That was not said correctly. It was said very poorly, but you know what I mean. So you need to make sure that you are aware. Cameras, facial recognition. Is your state doing it yet? Are they allowing it in certain cities? It's good to know. So let's jump in. I have a lot to share, as usual. Good morning. I appreciate you being here. I hope that y'all, again, if I didn't see you yesterday, had a wonderful Thanksgiving and had some good turkey. My fried turkey turned out really well, thankfully. Thank my husband, because I definitely don't mess with that. But anyway, we're going to get started first with the Grand Rapids detection system on US 131, and then we're going to get into details on the United Nations COP28 that's happening. When a car is detected going the wrong way, lights will begin flashing, a camera will start recording, and police will be notified. So allegedly only when it's detected to go the wrong way, but the camera has to constantly be going in order for it to detect, right? So I'm going to let her tell you what's up. This is what I saw last night right before bed, and I was like, I have to share this with you guys because it's exactly what I've been talking about, unfortunately.
Juliet and Elena are off tonight, first at 6, making one of the busiest freeways in the state safer for drivers. Between 2018 and May of this year, 36 wrong way crashes have happened in Kent County.
Okay, so since May of this year, 36. Okay.
Many of them on US 131 in Grand Rapids. Today, the state announced plans to install a detection system on off ramps throughout the city. 13 on your side, Josh Alberta spoke with MDOT and a father who lost his daughter in a wrong way crash. Josh, what have you learned?
Well, these wrong way detection systems are set to be placed on exits along US 131 throughout the city. Officials say it will improve safety along this stretch that has seen, as you mentioned, a number of wrong way crashes. One family impacted by these kinds of crashes say it's a step in the right direction.
Partnering with Michigan State Police and the City of Grand Rapids, the Michigan Department of Transportation is set to install wrong-way detection systems on exits along US 131.
We're installing wrong-way detection systems with flashing signs on the back, on the signs that say wrong way. So if those big, bright red signs don't get your attention, hopefully these LED flashing lights will.
But see, what does it matter? Because they're already going the wrong way when the lights go off. They detected it, but it's already happening. So this has nothing to do with stopping it, because you're not going to stop it with a camera. It's all about surveilling people. And
The features on the systems will include cameras and an automatic alert to nearby law enforcement. With the new tools, MSP hopes to respond before lives are lost.
Once the notification's been made to central dispatch that there is a wrong way driver on the expressway, then that allows for dispatch to get that information out to the closest car that's in that area so that we can intervene and stop that motorist that's traveling the wrong way.
The corridor through Grand Rapids has seen a number of wrong-way crashes in
Okay, so then they're going to go in and to, the people that lost their family members, which is of course sad, but they're doing that so that they can play on your emotions. By the way, good morning, Patriots, from Kelly. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Are they going to pay attention? And are they going to pay attention? Right. I mean, pretty much the people that drive wrong on the wrong side of the road, they're drunk, right? They're not going to pay attention to lights. It's not going to stop anything, unfortunately. But now it's just an excuse to implement surveillance. So wanted to share that with you. Now I'm going to jump into some details really quick because on this United Nations meeting. So why an oil kingdom is hosting the COP28 Climate Summit and other questions answered. This came out the 27th out of the Washington Post. I'm not going to get into the entire thing, of course, but what is the COP? COP stands for Conference of the Parties, with the word parties referring to nearly 200 countries that agreed to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1992. Once again, UN Agenda 21. And it really drives me crazy. Even in the comments down below in this article, you're going to see that people are like, they say all these things. It's just paper pushing and, maybe even backdoor deals and stuff between these powerhouses. Sure, they're definitely backdoor deals, but you guys aren't seeing these people in the comments. You're not seeing that what they're doing, they're implementing it very well. So well, in fact, that you don't even know what's happening. That's how well they're doing. So they actually put propaganda out there to make you think that they're not doing very well, the United Nations agenda. But yeah, this year they're talking about completely eliminated fossil fuels at the meeting. So, and man, I haven't watched the video yet, but this city that they're in, Expo City in Dubai, it looks crazy, futuristic, cyberpunk. But we're going to watch a video and check out what exactly the 15-minute city will look like. COP28, the summit is officially scheduled to run from November 30th to December 12th. But these climate talks often stretch into overtime. Okay. The conference will take place at Expo City Dubai, with bills itself as a futuristic mini city with apartments, restaurants, and other attractions. The venue is southwest of the center of Dubai, a city of many climate contradictions, with indoor ski slope miles from massive solar parks. Right. Dubai is definitely one of those cities that for rich, young money, they all go there because no taxes. And I watched this guy that lives there and there's basically slave labor, but you don't see it. It's very, secretive. They hide, you know. So this city's very clean, but you don't see the people cleaning up very much. You know, they stay out of people's way. I don't know if I'm not even saying it right, but I hope you know what I mean. Like, there's a dark side, and it's hidden behind this shiny exterior. That's what I'm trying to say. Lots of terrible things are happening, but you don't really get to see it. And the young money doesn't see it. They just see awesome, you know, beaches and, again, no taxes. So we should all have no taxes. Anyway, who will and won't attend this year? Scores of world leaders with varying climate records have said they will be there. They include Brazilian President, who has vowed to halt deforestation in the Amazon forest, and British Prime Minister Sunak, who recently delayed UK climate goals because of the concerns about their costs. Pope Francis, who warned last month that the world in which we live in is collapsing, has confirmed plans to attend COP28, and so has King Charles III. Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to skip the summit, although he will send some delegates to go in his place. With the war in Ukraine still raging, Russian President Vladimir Putin is likely to be another no-show, but these people already got their scripts. They were already disseminated out, and he doesn't need to show up to get a new script. He's got his. He's still implementing the United Nations agendas. President Biden will not attend a World Leaders Summit Friday and Saturday at the outset. According to the White House, it's unclear whether Biden will travel to Dubai for the second week of the negotiations, when other world leaders probably will have left. What is expected? The main agenda item is the global stockade, an assessment of whether the world is on track to meet the goal of the Paris Agreement. The stockade happens every 5 years, and each time so far, diplomats have concluded that the world is woefully off track. So I had something blocking, by the way, the light. The sun is shining extremely bright, and there's snow, so it's just crazy bright. But of course, the thing I had blocking the light just fell down, so if the lighting is off, I apologize for that. The thorniest agenda, however, is negotiations over a new fund to compensate poor countries for loss and damage. UN jargon for the ravages of global warming. At last year's summit in Egypt, wealthy nations reached a historic agreement to establish this fund. But since then, we have failed to agree on who will pay the fund and by how much. So somebody's got to pay. Negotiators are, because I think it's like trillions of dollars. 15 trillion is what the World Economic Forum just came out with in order to meet our goals by 2050. So we need to figure out who's going to pay $15 trillion. Good morning, Travel Around Susie. By the way, guys, if you're into van life, Travel Around Susie has a YouTube channel as well. So if you want to check that out, another Michigander with, trying to create content, put out some information. So negotiators also are expected to clash over whether the final COP28 deal calls for phasing out fossil fuels, the main driver of global warming. Major oil-producing countries are likely to resist language about a fossil fuel phase-out and push for language about the importance of carbon capture technology, which sucks carbon dioxide from polluting facilities and stores it deep underground. Many climate activists view this technology as a false climate solution that prolongs the life of fossil fuel infrastructure for decades to come. It's also crazy. All of this is based on a lie that carbon is a pollution. So spending all this money and creating all this industry on a lie drives me crazy. We don't have to capture it and then put it back underground. The natural cycle has worked for a millennia. I mean, if you believe in evolution, millions of years, billions of years, whatever. It changes. If you look at New Scientist, it changes every day, it seems. They have no idea what's up. Anyway. Why is an oil kingdom hosting COP28? Because it's really not about that. It's about power. But anyway, 1977, COP in Japan resulted in the Kyoto Protocol, which for the first time delineated the legal obligations of rich nations to reduce their emissions. And Grand Rapids, Michigan implemented that in 2005. They said, we agreed to that, and it's still in the brand new plans that came out in 2020, 2021. There's plans for all different areas, of course, but they use this protocol still to this day. The 2015 COP in France resulted in the Paris Climate Accord, okay, limiting global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Who made that number up? Why does it matter? Like, you can't verify that that's true, that even if we get to that point, that it'll fix everything. In fact, again, New Scientist always says, even if we do this as fast as humanly possible, there's still going to be climate change. Of course there will be climate change. The climate will always change. There are cycles and everything. Big cycles and small cycles. It's like a Russian doll. As above, so below, right? It's like you have, yeah. Anyway, cycles. 24,000 cycle for the precession of the stars, all the way to, you know, 4 seasons, what have you. Supporters say these summits remain the world's biggest annual opportunity to get global leaders in the same room to discuss climate change. They see the meetings as vital for accelerating the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and protecting nations that are most vulnerable to climate change, many of them in the global south. Critics, however, note that greenhouse gas emissions in the Earth's atmosphere have continued to soar since 1995, when it was deemed an issue. Do you see? That it wasn't an issue until then. They created some new issue, and now it's been going up, 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 up ever since. They just make this crap up. I don't know where that, there it is. I always keep it close, because this is so important to understand. The report from Iron Mountain on the possibility and desirability of peace. This is why they made it up, is because they're trying to replace a war between everybody, with a war either with aliens, which they even talk about a space program, never-ending, ever-growing space program. Thanks, NASA, who was created by a Nazi, Operation Paperclip. Anyway, from that to the war against the environment, basically a war against what we breathe in. Like carbon tax is a tax on the air. That's what it is. It's a tax on breathing. Greenhouse gas levels set a record in 2022 with no end in sight. The World Meteorological Organization said this month. Detractors also argue that these summits have been heavily influenced by large numbers of lobbyists and representatives from the fossil fuel industry that have attended. Okay, sure. Let's read a few of these. I would like to know how many greenhouse gas emissions will be emitted during the COP28. Several tens of thousands of delegates are expected to participate, not only during the summit, but also regarding the emissions for the transport of the delegates from their respective countries. Are modern communication tools not efficient enough to avoid all these greenhouse gas emissions that 200 countries want to reduce? Great question. Of course, they want to meet in person. They probably have, if you've seen V for Vendetta, the detective has a little gadget that he sets down and opens up, and then he's like in a bubble where all of the surveillance technology cannot penetrate into that little bubble, and he can talk to his partner without the government hearing about it. I guarantee you that they have something just like that they can, I mean, the Iron Dome, think about that. But anyway, they have something that they can probably put in the vicinity so that they can't be hacked. Their conversations can't be hacked. But I can't verify that. That's just my imagination working. But everything I've read, why isn't it possible? Hey, family. Thanks for showing up, Dragonfly. I always appreciate you hanging out with us. I hope that your day is going well. Again, it looks nice outside, but yesterday it was like 25 degrees. I don't like to go outside when it's 25 degrees, even if the sun is out. All right, so I couldn't help but marvel at how close to sea level all that glittering skyline in Dubai is. I think a meter of sea level rise will make it uninhabitable. A wasted investment. The climate hoax. So people from the Washington Post, at least, some of them know that it's ridiculous. Now, do they know what this is really about? I'm not really sure about that, but this is out of New Scientist. Could the world finally agree to ditch fossil fuels at COP28? The summit is set to begin in a city largely built on the immense oil wealth of the UAE. You know what? Before I get into this, let's watch this video. This is what they're talking about, this city. Oh, wait.
Expo 2020 Dubai spectacularly closed its doors after 6 months of welcoming the world to the international event, a first for an Arab country. Unlike a number of previous World Expo sites, the spirit and legacy will continue to live on as the former exhibition area transitions into a city of the future.
Right. I mean, and again, if the sea levels are going to rise, why would Obama buy a $14 million mansion in Florida? Why would they build all of this? I mean, they even built islands in a certain specific shape. I don't know if it'll show it in this video, but like, if the sea level really is going to rise, these billionaires, trillionaires, maybe some of the richest people in the world are obviously oil barons in the Middle East. Okay, you don't hear about them, you don't know about them, but they're filthy rich because they're tyrants in their own way. But
Expo City
there's no sea level going to rise, at least not that we would know about. I mean, if it happens, we would never be able to guess it.
Dubai.
It's a combination of education, entertainment, a new way of working, work experience.
Is probably that right there is probably a $3,000 piece of cloth. Okay, when I went over there, it was unbelievable. Their mall was huge. Now that was Qatar, but still, they're both very, 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 very rich, and all of their clothes in the mall were so crazy expensive. Even the ones that they put underneath all that, all of it expensive.
Just not to mention like the amount of demand on organizations to come and move here is extremely good. A lot of people are coming here actually to dovetail with the vision and with what we are trying to achieve. Between now and the end of the year, all the pavilions should be open. Of course, the content will be different.
Many of the pavilions will stay and be repurposed, with a variety of ideas in development, from cultural centres and universities to consulates and restaurants. Expo officials are studying each proposal carefully to align with the city's vision. The sustainable human-centric city will cover 1,083 acres. 80% of the site will be reused and repurposed. Visitors and residents will enjoy 10 kilometres of cycling tracks, a 5K jogging track, and
real quick, because they just said the jogging track and cycling track, I wanted to say this. I'm hopefully going to find this video, but I was watching in Chicago right now. There are bike trails along the beach, and they have cops. Not all the time, but they have cops that sit there and basically a checkpoint, and they check people's bags, and there are signs all over the place saying that because it's a Chicago park that they can do that. And so there's a new park upgrade here in Michigan. I want to check into that. I know that they're putting in a bunch of smart infrastructure, but is that going to be one of the things like that they can do stop and frisk, that there's no Fourth Amendment rights, that as long as you're in a park, a state park? I don't know. I have to find the video to show proof, but yes, they're something to be said about these cycling tracks, jogging tracks. You know, the Dragon Trail is here. Are they going to set up checkpoints every now and then and like search people's bags? And isn't that a violation of the Fourth Amendment? And if it is, what do you do about it?
45,000 square meters of gardens and parks. When open to the public, visitors will enjoy previous attractions such as the Terra and Aleph pavilions, the Surreal Water feature, Garden in the Sky, F&B options, and the site's only hotel.
The Expo event itself was such a huge thing for this part of the world. With the 80% of the real estate remaining, as we move forward from October onwards, I think you can still live that event, but also see it evolve. And I think people are very much attached to this district. During the Expo event, this hotel was just phenomenally busy. Since then, it's been a bit quieter. We've welcomed a lot of people that have come over the summer just to see the area and to see what's happening. And I think come October, we're really looking forward to seeing the attractions reopen, the destination reopen, and a lot of the startups and anchor tenants come into the area.
The exhibition centre will continue to operate here at Expo City Dubai and host global events such as COP28 in 2023. Also, a whole host of Fortune 500 companies, as well as local firms, are working towards opening their offices here, along with the likes of DP World and Siemens.
The business community will enjoy a specially curated
architecture is so
ecosystem
crazy,
boasting 5G and IoT technologies.
Expo City is going to be a smart city, right? So It's like a major playground for different AI-related technologies, including computer vision, natural language processing, machine learning, human-computer interaction. All these technologies can be used in a smart city scenario. That's why a lot of highly advanced technological companies are going to be based at the Expo City to collaborate with the Expo City and contribute to the development.
Those who choose to make Expo...
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's money here. And again,
home
new money.
Will get to live and work in the UAE's first 15-minute
Digital
city,
nomads.
with neighborhoods linked by pedestrian walkways and autonomous vehicle routes.
So Expo City is located in Dubai South, which is the newest city that's being built as part of Dubai. Dubai South will be an area larger than Hong Kong when it's completed. Dubai residents are always early adopters and always very excited by new ideas and concepts. So this idea of the 15-minute city is the first of its kind in the UAE. So we've already had lots of people very interested to know more. We've really seen inquiries from people across all nationalities, from all different walks of life. Local Emiratis who have ride from their homes.
I'm going to skip it to this last part right here. This is very reminiscent to me of China and their infrastructure, basically having all their buildings can change color and stuff. Their digital, I'm going to think of the word in just a second.
As the magic of Expo 2020 Dubai and its impactful legacy lives on.
Holograms, that's the word. Their holographics are amazing. It can look like a dragon is flying through some of the cities in China. And they have this, of course, here. And Las Vegas actually has one of those huge, it's a dome that inside will basically be like a better 4D movie, better than 4D.
Many are looking forward to its huge potential as a city of the future, and in turn benefiting generations for years to come.
Okay, so now we have an idea of what the city looks like. We're going to come back here. Let's see. A number of countries and many civil society groups are campaigning to include language on phasing out fossil fuels in any agreement at COP28. Others are pushing for weaker language to phase down the fossil fuels or to limit the scope of the statement in other ways. The host nation is a major oil producer, and observers have been very skeptical of its support for ambitious action on fossil fuels. The country has even planned to use the summit to discuss fossil fuel deals, according to documents obtained by the Center of Climate Reporting. Come down here, haven't countries pledged to phase out fossil fuels already? Burning fossil fuels is responsible for more than 70% of the greenhouse gas emissions that drive climate change. Prove it. But countries didn't explicitly call out the role of fossil fuels in any official declaration at UN climate summits until COP26 in the UK in 2021. Imagine that. Come down here, who's backing the phase out? Since COP26, a group of 11 countries led by Denmark and Costa Rica, called the Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance, has lobbied for a fossil fuel phase out. Well, of course they have, because it's beyond oil. It must be some kind of replacement. Many other countries and civil society groups have called for some version of phasing out fossil fuels. Who's pushing back? The anti-fossil fuel movement has met opposition from other countries, including major fossil fuel producers like Russia and Saudi Arabia, and other oil exporting members of OPEC. Some low-income countries have pushed back as well. This is important, arguing that a phase-out would unfairly limit their ability to use their fossil fuel resources, and that high-income countries should stop using fossil fuels first. It's definitely true that by suppressing fossil fuels or not allowing countries that are trying to get out of poverty, trying to be like us, like America, they need fossil fuels. They need cheap energy in order to do that. Energy is the most important thing for growth of a country. And not allowing fossil fuels is definitely going to harm upcoming countries, or countries that want to be up and coming, like Zambia. A blanket ban on investment in new fossil fuel projects is not equitable or just and cannot be the basis for a just transition, a group of African countries led by Zambia wrote in the submission to the UN. The UN Secretary General recently said the path to keeping global warming below 1.5 Celsius is clear. It requires tearing out the poisoned root of the climate crisis, fossil fuels. So you see where this is going. This is going to be people freezing because they don't have energy. In the energy sector, we know we can replace fossil fuels. He says, this is Carl Schlesener at Climate Analytics, a German-based NGO. A lot of this stuff does come from Germany. Sorry, but the materialistic, even the transhumanism is actually a materialist form of industry, I guess you'd say. So Germany has some, that's how they make, though, the best weapons in the world. They, they follow orders very well. And that can be a benefit if you have a good leader. So it's, there are pros and cons to every culture. But one of the cons, unfortunately, is their propensity to have really dangerous ideas out of Germany. Despite countries' production plans, the IEA recently forecast that global demand for fossil fuels will peak by 2030, driven by the unprecedented boom in renewable energies and other clean energy development, as well as the accelerating shift to electric vehicles and appliances by force. Yes, thank you, by force. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you about how much for the children. This is going to talk about Flint, Michigan, and how they are selling the people to the government. A word of warning. This article is jam-packed with tons of information. Take it slow when you dive in. All right. So what you see above is a screenshot I took during the recent campaign for grade level reading webinar that featured RX Kids out of Flint, Michigan. I've linked for you above one of the most important articles I've written on campaign. It wasn't long after DC started really throwing money at families in the name of educational justice, because after all, so much learning loss has occurred. I've written other articles about this group and their agenda to overtake families. So I will, of course, have this linked below. You can go check out all of these links if you want to dive in more. So what is RX Kids? According to the 4 individuals you see above, it's a flagship program that's taken about 1 year to get as far as they've gotten. Basically, the entire town of Flint is supportive of this flagship. What does it do? It pays every pregnant woman in Flint a one-time allotment to use during her pregnancy, $1,500. As soon as a child is born, the child receives $500 per month allotment for 1 year. RX Kids is also a project of lead pediatrician Dr. Hannah Atisha, along with Charles Stewart Moat Foundation. The premise is simple. To totally erase intergenerational poverty in Flint, this program is a win-win. Healthy moms and children, money to buy diapers, food, and have more time to bond. Oh, and the win for the city of Flint, more economic gain due to all the spending mom and baby will do. The sales pitch, which could rival the scene from the Blues Brothers movie, where we hear John Belushi say, "How much for the women and children?" Flint's RX Kids will reel in every expectant mom with cash, hook them into more government or P3, which P3 is public-private partnership, which I might just steal that and say P3 for majority. I always talk about public-private partnership, but that is a lot. So P3 entities via well-being services. These services aren't simply healthcare. They are an all-encompassing of every family. Let the twists and turns begin. So during the over 1 hour webinar to spell out the details of the program and how it's a one-of-a-kind system, you'll hear clues that let you know this type of overreach into pure socialism isn't new in recent history for America. That's our first twist. Come to find out, there are at least 4 other similar type community-wide incentives to have babies and have their health and education subsidized. San Francisco, California has the Abundant Birth Project. Lynn and Roxbury, Massachusetts I think that's Massachusetts, MA, or is that Maryland? Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it's Massachusetts, so let me know. Have the Family Health Project. New York City and Rochester, New York have the Bridge Project, and the longest running experiment of this type is found in Jackson, Mississippi, and is called the Magnolia Mothers Trust. Note, San Francisco was also tapped as a Rockefeller resilient city to be the model of the world. I wrote about that in the Dollars Before Deers article. The evil turn of this fact is that with resilient cities comes universal behavior screening. This means everyone is tested for mental health issues. Family Health Project takes the first 3 years of a child's life to allow this 501c3 to fund its life. New York City Rochester's Bridge Project plainly states it's going after a child's emotional and mental health, aka well-being. Magnolia Mothers Trust is currently seeking its 4th cohort of participants. It also claims to seek to wipe out intergenerational poverty. This is how it has to do with UN Agenda 21, is because the first goal is to eliminate poverty. That's the first sustainable development goal. And this absolutely this is their plan to do that. It's to get us completely relying on the government. It's bad enough that fascism is represented in a do-good P3. But the socialism aspect hits you right between the eyes when you hear how the RX Kids is a type of UBI, or Universal Basic Income. Some of the groups involved also interchange GBI, or Guaranteed Basic Income. UBI means everyone receives government money. Everyone. GBI means if you are working, you are supposedly secure in an income bracket. However, both UBI and GBI are forms of subsidies, meaning you're taking someone else's taxpayer dime, not just your own. Come to think of it, if it was simply your dime, you don't need the government becoming the middleman, used car salesman figure. To see not only these entities I mentioned above, but a very long list of every U.S. city participating in some of the UBI or GBI, go here. So real quick, I do want to show, this is the list on Mashable.com, and Ann Arbor is another city. Announced in June, the city of Ann Arbor will partner with the University of Michigan to launch its Guaranteed Income Pilot Program, an entrepreneur-based direct cash initiative that will give 100 families and individuals roughly $528 per month for 2 years. The city says it will focus aid on low and moderate income households with individuals engaged in some form of entrepreneurship, including home-based businesses. So not just Flint, but Ann Arbor, of course, Ann Arbor. The second twist is that both Michigan State and the University of Michigan are participating in RX Kids. The evil turns are, along with the P3 funded universities, United Way of Pierce County, the California Endowment, which is a big cover for big insurance, the Detroit Partnership for Economic Mobility, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the Detroit Community Academic Urban Research Center, and all involved. So, of course, in case you didn't know, we are becoming China here in Michigan. The Summer Works Youth Employment Program is mentioned in the webinar as an advisory group. Working with RX Kids is Dr. Luke Schaefer, who has ties to the National Science Foundation, a UN alignment group, an NGO of the U.S. government, and Bill Gates Foundation, the U.S. Census, Oberlin College, as well as being a point person for manipulating U.S. tax codes, where child tax credits are concerned. TANF Funds, which is Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. Good morning, Connie. Late again. You must be a very busy individual, but thank you very much for stopping in. Right now, I'm just discussing basically socialism that's trickling in secretively here in Michigan and, of course, all around the United States. But it's supposed to help women, pregnant women, and children, but really it's to buy them. Let's just be real. TANF is a federal top-down taxpayer-funded stream that was set up by the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, to allow more overreach into families in the name of student wellness and academic achievement. Lastly, Miss Mona and Schaefer are working together to write a book for the rest of the nation on how to leverage, manipulate, TANF funds in your state to start an RX Kids. Warriors, did you know that poverty is a pathogenic, toxic root of our society? Near the 1325 timestamp of the webinar, you'll hear that. Now that's the third twist. However, it's also a word game. Poverty has existed since biblical times and will continue. Here's the evil turn. The UN's #1 sustainable development goal is zero poverty. That's the used car salesman pitch. What the UN really means is that everyone will be in poverty. Economies across the globe are set for utter and complete failure with the cyber currency and blockchain existence tied to UBIs, GBIs, ESAs, and more. I do want to talk about that. I really hope I can get to it, because what's going on with the blockchain technology and the digital ID, I'm sure that you've heard me say it. The people that believe blockchain technology is going to save us, it's actually going to enslave us if they have their way. It will hold all of your information in the block. It's absolutely imperative in order for their system to work, for blockchain technology to exist. And that's why you don't know who created Bitcoin. It's because it was the CIA, or not the CIA, our government, or the shadow government, or the Uniparty, or the Illuminati, or whatever you want to call them. It is diabolical. It is worldwide. It is. This is the great battle of our time. It's both a spiritual war and a material war. It's both. It is all-encompassing. And when we are complete with this battle, it will be a new age. So I absolutely have faith that we can stop their plans and have all this technology be actually used for the benefit of mankind rather than enslaving us. Because there's no reason why it couldn't be a good thing, this technology. I know majority of my videos I'm talking that it's terrible, but it's only because the people that are creating these technologies are creating them with enslavement in mind instead of with, freedom. Not ultimate freedom, because I don't know if ultimate freedom is good either, to be honest. Ultimate freedom right now is leading people to do terrible things that can't be changed, to their children and what have you. So there has to be a balance. You can't have complete freedom. Human beings don't know what to do with it. We kind of go crazy. We need to have some rules and guidelines. And that is, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry for the rant. Let's get back into this. Wait, what? ESAs are a form of UBI? What is ESA? Education savings accounts. Let me know. You guys have any education savings accounts for your children? If you want to share, of course. I don't have any children, so I've never done an education savings account. I never even heard of it until right now. But anyway, ESAs are a form of UBI? Yes, they are. And the cost to our families for accepting them is astronomical. The cost of aligning a child's well-being, their education, all that connects the two, far outweighs any amount of dollars we can imagine. Aligning your family to all the high-stake assessments for accepting all these types of socialism costs you your freedoms. It costs our children their freedoms as well, as continues to skew the taxpayer base of this nation. The cost further extends the compliance of your family to meet government-prescribed outcomes. Outcomes meaning what box you fit in, regardless of it, the box truly fits you. Okay. Coming down here, our third twist reveals just one of the SDGs that UBI can be tied to. According to the Finland ambassador, it is also tied to healthcare, which is the third sustainable development goal. The fifth is gender equality. The eighth, decent work for all, as well as 17, partnerships to embed the SDGs. Since ESAs, also called freedom scholarships or tax vouchers, are a form of UBI, this will include education, which is number 4. So tons of articles. In closing, what costs are you willing to place on your family's freedom? What price tag are you willing to sell out your own flesh and blood? What costs are you willing to pay to support the government system that has reached all the way in your home to control your education, healthcare, attitudes, values, and your personal beliefs. Come over here. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but this is where I found it. American Policy Center, Tom DeWeese, has been fighting UN Agenda 21 since the beginning. And that's how I found that other article. So I don't think there's anything new in here. Let me point out the most glaring difference between France's program and the RX Kids about to start in America. France already has universal basic health. America does not. Yet another difference is France called the birth incentives insurance. RX Kids calls it cash supplements. So don't know what that difference exactly entails, but yeah. All right, so majority of it was covered. Let's go here to election fraud exposed. Absentee ballots arrived in sequential order, same signature, all dated November 0, 2020. I have the video right here.
They were all in sequence.
Oh,
these are
sorry.
Started writing down the ballot numbers and the last names of the person of the ballot that had the name on that ballot. They were all in sequence. These are absentee ballots, mail-in ballots. They cannot be in sequence. 2232 cannot have 2233 next to it, because if they're mailed in, they come in all different numbers. And when I started noticing that these numbers are almost next to each other, like one or the other was in the middle, but then they were almost next to each other, my antennas went up. That's exactly when I thought something is not right here. Then I asked the supervisor. There was not even a date on those envelopes. It said November 0-2020. There was no second number there. Then I said, what is the date on this one? Then they got really mad at me. They said, you're not letting us do our job. You're disturbing us. And at that point, because we really don't want to be kicked out, so we were just kind of not challenging anything because we want to still stay in the room because we barely had anybody. Not only that, the sequence ballot numbers were all from the same area, like the Goddard Street in the downtown Detroit. Goddard Street, sequential ballots, signatures were all alike. They had no date stamp. It said like it was empty after 0. There was no third or second or first or nothing.
So that just came out. This says video emerges of woman testifying that multiple absentee ballots were being received in sequential order. Does this seem possible? So we're going to continue seeing more information about voter fraud because the elections are coming up and they want us to completely doubt the system, which, if you're not there already, then you will be by next year. But this is the Rothschild-owned economist is now saying that solar geoengineering, aka blocking the sun with toxic sprayed particles from planes, is becoming a respectable idea after having spent years ridiculing us deplorable conspiracy theorists for saying they're already doing this on a global scale with the cooperation of multiple countries and militaries, because it is military. It is. By their own admittance, along with soil, rain, air analysis described in detail, and patents confirming particulates are being sprayed for such a purpose. They've been planting these seeds for years in the minds of the public to make them accept and, like they said, respectable. Make it seem acceptable and, like they said, respectable, while simultaneously gaslighting us that they are doing it in mass. So I have that article right here. Our way to fix an accidentally altered climate is to alter it again deliberately. Can you believe it? Oh, by the way, yeah, this is Rothschild. Is that what that, did he say that too? Rothschild owns this magazine. And I won't be able to read it anyway, so that's fine. Previous get together in 2011, Jim Hurrell, a climate scientist. Almost no one was talking about geoengineering. This is the idea of deliberately meddling with the Earth's climate to try to make it cooler and thus to offset the worst effects of another type of climate meddling, namely greenhouse gas-driven global warming. So yeah, gas vehicles, bad. Spraying the air with chemicals, totally fine. Good. That's totally fine. I just wanted to share that. And this one too. So This is what they want you to think the metaverse is, and this is what it really is. This is high-tech, low-life. This is cyberpunk reality. This is not something that we want, obviously. I don't want to live in a different world. I like this world. I think we should try to make this one better. Instead of trying to go to Mars, which you can't do, try to go to a digital world, create this huge digital world. How about we just make this place, this plane of existence better? Let's just do that. Here are the Hodge twins. If you don't watch them, I think they're hilarious. Very filthy mouth, though, just for a warning. But they're funny. The Capitol Cups beat the hell out of innocent January 6th protesters, and the videos are finally coming out. The cops should be charged, and the protesters should be freed. This is why the Uniparty didn't want the videos released, and they're still not all released. You don't have any sound, but you can see here. Look at this. This is an American citizen. And I'm not sure, is he being pushed? I mean, to me, obviously, that's what it looks like. He's being pushed and abused by people that are supposed to protect and serve the people of the United States of America. These people are supposed to respect the Constitution. And all I can say is that I condone this, of course. I condone this. This is terrible. These people are not working for the people. They're working for the New World Order, which brings us over to Justin Barclay. Are we funding both sides? Absolutely. Absolutely. We've done it every war ever. That is why war is a racket. I will never, ever stand by any war because Smedley Butler was right. The only people that are harmed are the poor and the middle class, if such a thing exists anymore. The rich people, they leave. They don't go to war. Just wanted to share that. Here's another one from January 6th. You know what? I should give you some context. So here's a possible Fed agent wearing an earpiece, physically forcing people inside the Capitol on January 6th. Listen to the one woman confronting him. If we couldn't hear the woman, we would have never known. Oh, you know what? You can barely hear that. I'm going to turn it up. I'm sorry. Here we go. He's wearing an earpiece. I mean, could it be just some protester wearing an earpiece? Absolutely. But probabilities, that's what we have to remember. What's the probabilities of that? Yeah, so it continues on. If you just type in January 6th, things will continue to be trickling out because people are watching the content that was released. Here's one more for you, and this is all I have on January 6th. Again. Why? Why would you push her? There's absolutely no reason. She looks like she's maybe 50, you know, in her 50s. Was that necessary? Was she a threat? Obviously, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't say so. I'm hitting you with a lot. I want to make sure I get all this out to you, but usually I feel a little bit more ordered than I do today. Tomorrow, I am going to be talking, by the way, about Biden and his rural plans. Really big deal, of course. He just blew up the government, created whole new departments for rural areas. So the federal government, you know, can really look at the rural areas. Oh, it's awful. So I wanted one more afternoon to arrange everything, so I pushed it tomorrow. The next thing I want to show you, a very concerning message. This is Survival Lily. I've been watching her for 2-3 years. She actually goes out, and she's from not Amsterdam, Austria, the other A. She's from Austria, and she would build in the woods, different shelters and, survival, right? She would talk about prepping. She actually has her own line of knives that I was considering buying. So I was looking at all that stuff a couple years ago, and that's how I found her. She has been keeping up over on the eastern side, over in Europe, what's going on with digital ID. And so her accent is a little thick, but I think it's manageable. And I think it's important to hear what she's got to say.
To report to you a very important and also very concerning message that I've gotten from one of my viewers. And he responded with this message to my last video, which was about the digital IDs. Okay, so now let's dive right into this message,
which
I find
too.
personally
Awesome.
pretty
I love her.
concerning and even frightening. Okay, let's go. I work in the IT department of a very large, renowned insurance company headquartered in Germany. Unfortunately, what I tell my circle of friends and relatives about my projects, they dismiss as conspiracy theory. Many people don't see or understand what will happen to us with this great digitalization revolution, especially the possible dangers and misuse. Here's a small excerpt of the pilot projects we are working on. Topic: digitized car. Pilot projects are already underway. In the next 10 years, it will no longer be possible to insure old hams. So with old hams, he means an old car, the same one that I drive, for example. In one of my last videos, I mentioned my car, which is really old and I still love it. And he also drives an old car. So those old cars, you will not be able to insure anymore in the next 10 years. So you will be forced to buy a digital car. Otherwise, you won't get insurance. These cars are online 24/7 and in real time in touch with the insurance, traffic authorities, remote maintenance, surveillance, and authorities.
Yeah, that right there is one of the reasons I had to share that, because I can think only of so many different angles. So that's why I watch so many people. This is an angle I never really think about: insurance. If they don't allow you to have a car older than 2015, insurance wise, what are you going to do? Like, they're going to put the pressure on in all kinds of different ways. They're not just going to say, I'm going to take that, you will own nothing. No, they're going to ease us into it using this and water for property, sanitation, the septic tanks. That's a big thing with the rural plan under Biden. That's how they're going to get to us. But anyway, insurance.
Depending on your style, time, speed, driver, your insurance premium will automatically adjust.
Automatically adjust. So if I drive fast and swerve, my insurance will go up the next month. If I drive the way they want me to drive, my insurance will go down. Do you see how manipulating, controlling it already is going to be? The insurance company will be able to manipulate you. The car that you bought, so if you bought the shell from Ford, because everything in it is going to be software, then Ford could shut you off. Too much control. Anybody that is into electric vehicles, they need to know this.
For example, if you drive too fast and risky, you will not only get to pay a fine to the magistrate, but also your insurance premium automatically increases. Let's register you as a night driver. You will get a higher premium. If you have more passengers in the car, you will get a higher premium. If your premium is not paid, you will no longer be able to start your car. We are already in discussions with several major automotive brands to bring a Europe-wide standardized technical one-size-fits-all solution onto the market. Many people don't know that fully integrated breathalyzers, AlcoGuard, will be mandatory in the coming vehicle generations. This means that if you are drunk, you will no longer be able to start your car. Even if you are below the minimum alcohol limit, this data will be passed on to the insurance company and you will be penalized with a higher premium. If you're drunk beyond this limit, the relative authorities will automatically be informed and your insurance will be cancelled immediately. Transparent customer. We are also relying on the upcoming digital ID to access personal data such as health, traffic, home, etc. The background is that all the necessary customer data is already stored somewhere, and as long as it does not leave the European Union, everything is fine for the insurance sector with the GDPR. Nowadays, customers also carelessly give their okay under the small print that we can collect their personal data. In real time, we collect medical records, living conditions, vehicle data, etc. in the event of damage. Upcoming pilot projects are planned with credit institutions, banks, to reward a healthy lifestyle and punish an unhealthy one, in which we monitor shopping behavior, temporarily limited to districts, but only a matter of time until it is delivered to individual people.
Okay, so yeah, you buy meat, now your premium is higher for your insurance because that has been deemed unhealthy.
Live in a district where a lot of unhealthy stuff is consumed, does it affect your life insurance, pension, death, etc.? We already checked the liquidity of all customers, but it's still quite old-fashioned. With the coming technological advances, digital ID, digital currency, we will be able to check the liquidity in a real time via interfaces with banks, credit institutions, etc., as well as the tax circumstances of each customer. I can't believe it. Also planned and already scheduled as a pilot project for 2025.
By the way, I haven't watched this entire thing. I watched the first, let's say 2 minutes, and I knew I had to share it with you guys because, again, insurance, that's such a unique angle for someone to be blowing the whistle, kind of, you know, one of her viewers sharing that information that works in insurance. It's good to know.
With the Federal Ministry of Defense, National Security. If a vehicle is registered to a politically exposed person and there's a suspected case, this person will no longer be able to start their vehicle. It will be deactivated via remote monitoring, and this applies to all private vehicles. A powerful RFID chip will be built into these digital ID cards. This enables a close coupling of 10 meters, but monitoring and localizing with an accuracy of approximately 1000 meters. This is of particular interest to the insurance company because in the event of damage, we can more easily locate the people, acts of damage, crimes, those involved. We are already in negotiations with the European digitalization and data protection managers to also be able to access this data in more detail, justified under the name of security, customer friendliness, and digitalization. The background is the boom in accident insurance, where we are, of course, interested in how often, when, how, and above all, where each customer moves. Our pilot projects with the connection to AI are particularly interesting here in ongoing cooperations with Google and Microsoft. In the next 5 to 10 years, if not much sooner, there will be a revolution both in areas of digitalization and AI that will make the invention of the internet look like the invention of the pencil. This is not a joke. These are projects that we are already piloting in the implementation testing phase in the insurance sector. In the coming years, owners of electric cars will be prepared to pay a battery tax instead of an engine tax. Reason: batteries pose an increased risk, fire, and are harmful to the environment. Disposal. Payment is made on
Then why are we going to it? It drives me nuts. Let's not do it. By the way, Tesla has 6 cameras on it on average, 6 cameras. Some of them obviously more, but I don't think any of them have less. So get yourself an electric car and be surveilled. Next thing I want to talk about, the metaverse technology is still immature, but in 30 years, everyone will use it. I am going to talk about the metaverse, but really quick, I want to show you this. I'm not going to show you much of it, but I'm going to show you the metaverse so far. This is Mark Zuckerberg and Lex Fridman on the Lex Fridman podcast. I think he's a CIA agent, but that's just my opinion. Can't prove it. So
I've noticed
what you see here is Mark Zuckerberg has the Oculus on his face. This is what the Oculus. So with the Oculus comes a sensor, and the sensor, this is what it picks up. So it picks up everything about your entire face. Smart TVs actually do an outline. Even my old, I think my TV is like 12 years old now. Even that one can kind of sense sonar or something where I'm at. I've seen people hack. Smart TVs have cameras, of course.
Around it. I mean, right now we're kind of sitting in a dark room, which is familiar for your podcast. But I think part of the vision for this over time is not just having this be like a video call. I mean, that's fine. It's cool, or it feels like it's immersive. But you can do a video call on your phone. The thing that you can do in the metaverse that is different from what you can do on a phone is like doing stuff where you're physically there together and participating in things together. And we could play games like this. We could have meetings like this in the future. Once you get mixed reality and augmented reality, we could have codec avatars like this and go into a meeting and have some people physically there and have some people show up in this photorealistic form, superimposed on the physical environment. And I think that stuff like that is going to be super powerful. So we got to still build out all those kind of applications and the use cases around it. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a pretty wild next few years around this.
I mean, I'm actually almost at a loss of words. This is just so incredible.
Don't you think it's weird?
Incredible. I hope that people like watching this can get a glimpse of like how incredible it is. It really.
So this is what the digital twin is all about. So obviously that is Mark Zuckerberg's digital twin right here. Everything needs to have a digital twin in order for the metaverse to work. Now, one concept people are saying that I've seen on the internet is, let's say you're in the metaverse and you want to go visit Nashville, Tennessee. What year do you want to visit it? Because they can recreate it back in the 1800s. They can recreate it, as far back as, and then they can make stuff up. Oh, you want to go to Nashville, Tennessee, but in cyberpunk reality or, and under the ocean. I don't know. But basically, through the metaverse, this is what they're promising. You could go to Nashville, Tennessee in the 1800s. Westworld kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Travel Around Susie, they already have something like this that you plug into the OBD reader. My insurance was offering a while back, but my agent told me not to get the newer cars with the GPS. They can do a lot of this. Good to know. An OBD reader. Yeah, cars, van life. How is van life going to be possible, right? With this new system. Unfortunately, they don't want you to be driving around and traveling. In the metaverse, you can. So this is out of Crypto News. And Crypto News spoke with David Schreier, the author of the book Basic Metaverse, which is about the future of the virtual world. The global metaverse market could potentially reach a revenue of $1,237 billion by 2030, as projected by recent reports. However, intricate security and privacy concerns may slow down the market's growth. Crypto News discussed these and other concerns with David Schreier, a futurist author and entrepreneur, at Web Summit in Lipson. In his book, Basic Metaverse, How Virtual Worlds Will Change Our Reality and What You Can Do to Unlock Their Potential, Schreier delves into the future of this emerging technology and its potential impact into our lives. So crypto news. Your book, Basic Metaverse, was published this year when many say the metaverse hype is dead and the NFT market is down. Do you believe the metaverse has potential? Trevor and Susie, plug and play. Yes, exactly. You know, I don't know if you guys know about the NFT market, but basically, let's say I go on Canva and I create a t-shirt for my video game avatar. Well, then I want to turn around and sell that, but I only want to sell perhaps a certain amount. I can make it into an NFT that allows only for a certain amount of that digital product to be bought and even sold again. So it's trying to create a physical exclusive project or product, but you need the blockchain technology in order to do that. People in the video game right now and into video games hate NFTs. They rail against them. I hope that the majority of the world will. Gamers know first because all of this software-based system was implemented on games first. The number one entertainment industry in the world is video games. And so all of this software-based system has already been there. So we know as gamers just how corrupt these corporations can get and what they can do with such a system. You know, you can just take your video game away if you bought it, so on and so forth. Or you say, there's no microtransactions in my game, but 6 months later, they can put microtransactions. So you bought the game thinking that there's no microtransactions, no gambling in the game, but then they just introduce it 6 months later. There's nothing you can do about it. Can't return it. And now you don't have the same game. So same concept, but put it on cars or anything. Cars is just the easiest. So David Schreier says Metaverse is dead is a catchy headline that does not reflect the economic reality of a vibrant industry. 2022, the Metaverse generated more than $66 billion in revenue. No matter what you may read about Mark Zuckerberg and his losses in virtual reality, the Metaverse encompasses a much wider set of ways of interacting with technology, and the market is tens of billions of dollars US in revenue and is doing just fine. The NFT market has gone through a healthy correction. It's the Gartner hype cycle. You had this invention, then you had proliferation, then you had hype. The frothy things that don't have a value attached to them are sort of settling out of the market. For example, Kale Edoko, one of my portfolio companies, has a game they're launching next year called Particle Inc. They did an NFT mint recently, and they sold out in under 2 hours. In this game, your characters can get unique attributes through their NFTs. That's what I would term a natural use case for NFTs. So if you have a viable product in the NFT market, it's very healthy, liquid, and fungible. Somebody else I watch, Iman Ghazi, a young millionaire, he has NFTs. He embraced it. And what he did with it is he created like not a boys club, but like an elite, I think it's golf, like club. So it kind of is a boys club, although I think it didn't matter if you were male or female. It just matters if you have a lot of money, because I think it was like really expensive to get into it. But there are several different ways people are using NFTs. It's definitely not a dead market, but it's something to worry about. What do you think, Mark Zuckerberg? Why do you think the Mark Zuckerberg idea failed? Well, hasn't failed, but David Schreier, one reason is it was too early. The technology curve isn't there yet. Virtual reality is just one aspect of the metaverse. It's premature technology. For example, wearing the goggles for too long causes motion sickness. It has a name for it. It's called cyber sickness, where moving with your head and the goggles don't quite match up. I used VR one time, and I didn't get motion sickness, but I could tell it was like on the way. I didn't play that long. I personally didn't like it. It wasn't the Oculus, though. It was the PlayStation version, which is inferior. But I'm definitely not a fan. I'm not an early adopter. Now, my nephews, they fly planes. They fly helicopters and jets. And they have the Oculus Rift, and they have hundreds of dollars worth of equipment, a joystick, but a flight stick and all that for their flight simulators. So they feel like they are flying. So they're early adopters, obviously. David Schreier, one reason it is too early. Okay, sorry. Women are 4 times more likely to get cybersick than men. Huh, I thought there was no difference between men and women. So when you have a gender differentiated product, high manufacturing costs, and limited comfortable usage time, it creates significant barriers to adoption. Crypto news. Your book paints a fascinating future where the metaverse transforms various aspects of life from dating to medicine. However, this future you've described is quite alarming due to privacy and deepfake concerns. What are your thoughts on this? David Schreier says there are a couple of issues that you are raising. One is identity. How do we provenance a unique digital identity in an anonymous format? There's something that blockchain technology is very good at. Second, artificial intelligence can create deepfakes, but it can also detect deepfakes. So we need to use AI to defend us against AI. Oh, that's not dangerous at all. We're doing a lot of work on AI security with Imperial College London and several other major universities. It is a problem to be aware of, but it's something that we can address. Accenture has trained over 200,000 people in the metaverse without the carbon footprint or flying them to a training center, putting them in a hotel and the expensive travel. So yeah, why can't all the elitist pricks that are flying to the United Nations and having all their meetings, why can't they just go into the metaverse? If 200,000 people have already been trained, why not save the trip? Oh yeah. That's what I clicked on there. Spells and counter spells is the note. So we need to use AI to defend us against AI. I guess that's what it reminded me of. AI is one spell, and then the counter spell is another AI. Don't know why I put that. I must have been thinking about the Sword of Truth series. David Schreier, yes. Okay, sorry. Crypto news. You also mentioned in your book that developing countries tend to accept metaverses faster because people don't have access to conferences and other real-life events. This is something that's important to understand. Yes, it's not only that. They're more technologically optimistic, interestingly enough, just like Dubai. The G7 countries take technology for granted and are already dismissing it. Cultures go through 3 phases of evolution with new technology. Naive excitement. That's where majority of these up-and-coming countries are, understandably. They are excited about the new technology. They do not understand. They're naive because they don't understand the dangers. We have been dealing with technology for a while now. We know the dangers. We are starting to become aware of them just now. That's why we're not so eager to implement all these new technologies. But, of course, places in Africa and India and so on and so forth, the Middle East, they don't have this kind of technology. They don't know how dangerous it is. So it's not that they're just superior in any way or inferior. They just don't know. So cultures go through 3 phases: naive excitement, understanding, and then becoming decadent. I think a lot of economically prosperous countries are taking technology for granted. Being in this decadent phase of technology consumption, whereas developing countries are finding this metaverse technology engaging as a solution to problems. What if a developing country is also a dictatorship and takes dominance over this technology? That's true for any technology, not just the metaverse. Social media messaging systems also face controversies regarding government surveillance. Some countries, without naming names, don't let you use WhatsApp or Signal because of the end-to-end encryption. They insist you use another platform that has a built-in backdoor. In that regard, Metaverse is no different. On the other hand, something really disturbing and interesting is going on, particularly Russia and China, less so, but still notably North Korea, have been very actively engaged in disinformation in social media. Yes, and our governments in the West haven't been, right? The metaverse provides an even more effective platform for spreading disinformation because it's more emotionally engaging. Metaverse games are 44% more addictive than regular video games, according to HTC research. I thought that was really interesting too. Metaverse games. Hence, active defense against disinformation becomes crucial. We run the risk. Okay. So yeah, Metaverse games, I guess because you actually feel like you're there more. My nephews, I don't know if it's applicable. I should ask. Because one actually has flown. He wants to be a pilot. He's 18 years old. He wants to be a pilot, which is awesome. And he plays both on the Oculus Rift, and he actually flew co-pilot once. So I wonder if it is comparable. Zoltan the man, what did I miss? You missed quite a lot. Thank you, though, for coming to hang out. You missed me talking about the United Nations and Dubai with their Expo City. I am going to show one more picture of the Expo City here soon. And I talked about Grand Rapids, Michigan, and their freaking surveillance program that they are implementing. Every single ramp is going to have a camera on it in case somebody goes the wrong way. And that camera can send the information directly to the police in Grand Rapids. So yeah, surveillance 15-minute city implementation. And it just was announced yesterday. So I think that's the big stuff. Oh, so geoengineering, of course, I had to bring that up because the Economist magazine is saying that it's actually a respectable thing to do, is to spray chemicals in the air to try to block the sun. And it was once called chemtrails, but that was just a crazy conspiracy theory. Now, geoengineering, and it's definitely a good thing, according to places like New Scientist. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Now I'm talking about the metaverse and showing why it's not dead and it's unfortunately the future. Did you see, by the way, Lex Friedman and Mark Zuckerberg with the Oculus Rift on showing off the metaverse that happened this year? I showed some of that too, but again, I don't like Lex Friedman, but it was definitely interesting. And I don't like Mark Zuckerberg, of course. He's an alien, right? David Schreier. I've spent a lot of time working on technology policy. An example of bad regulation would be the New York State BIT license, which destroyed New York City's competitiveness in finance and crypto for a long time, making it impossible for startups to enter the market. Gary Gensler more recently has done his best to eliminate the startup world in crypto and favor the JP Morgans and the Fidelities of the world. Rules-based regulations is not the way because technology is evolving too fast. We need to do things where, as the technology comes up with its next thing, the regulation can move with it. Elon Musk is working on Neuralink and brain implants. We didn't come up with regulations to deal with information that gets directly zapped into your brain. Crypto news. In basic metaverse, you predict a 3-stage evolution of access to the metaverse. Lighter, cheaper, faster devices, invisible technologies like contact lenses, and implantable solutions, which is like the chip in your head. Would you implant something in your brain personally? Not today, because the technology is too mature, but 30 to 40 years from now, probably. But he's 80 years old, so he can say that and not matter because he'll be dead. It could stave off age-related dementia and memory loss. You know, if I'm 80 years old, would I like to be able to remember what I had for breakfast in the morning? Yes. Would I like to remember my children's names? Yes. The potential for this technology is tremendous, but right now it's very immature. It is decades away from something that I would put into my brain. I'll never do it. Saying it right here, right now. Everyone's going to use it for performance enhancement. You know what's going to happen. Students will be implanting it so they can study better for a test. All this stuff is coming. I mean, really, that's all you can come up with. You're going to implant to enhance so that you can study for a test that some prick made up for you to test yourself. But if you have AI in your brain, are you really testing yourself? I've just read an article that AI is making us dumber. Yeah, if you have something else, think for yourself, whether it's AI or the government or anything or mainstream media or anything else. Yeah, you're going to get dumber if you don't think for yourself. So if you use AI, don't rely on it. Learn it, but continue to read for yourself and learn for yourself. Zoltan the man, I'm getting the F out of GR as soon as I can. Wheels rolling. Well, I don't blame you. Definitely get out of the city if you have the capability. Stay out of cities. But you can run, but you can't hide. We're going to have to do something. And my question is, when it gets bad enough, are we going to have our own Blade Runners in Grand Rapids? Well, how are people going to feel about these cameras that are constantly watching? And again, it's when you're going the wrong way that it'll start recording. But again, in order for you to know that you went the wrong way, it has to constantly be censoring you. It's the same thing with Alexa. In order for it to know that you're talking to it, it has to constantly be listening out for you. That's how it knows when you say Alexa. That's why I won't have one of those things in my house either. But it's the same concept. It's always not recording potentially, but it's always watching. I bet you it's always recording. But yeah, it's looking at your license plate if you're going the right way. So that's perfect. Anyway, this is the end of this article. All right, cool. Crypto news. It could make sense for medical reasons, but what about something that would allow you to be in augmented reality? David Schreier says, we're going to have that too, a completely immersive video game or movie experience. It opens endless possibilities for manipulation, says Crypto News. And Schreier says, as does any new technology, it is a very legitimate concern, but it's not the first time we've had disruptive technology that could change everything. Yes, but it's the first time that all the governments of the world seem to be working together in order to enslave their populations. So that's something different. They used to have riots when the steam engine put looms into factories. Whatever. When will we have, for example, the invisible contact lenses for entering the metaverse? Schreier says 10 to 15 years. See, they have it already. NASA absolutely 100% has it already, but we won't get it. Now this says it cooks your eyes, so they're still grappling with the issue that today the lenses heat up too much and they cook your eyes. Immature technology. It will take a while for us to work out those kinks. We have today the lenses of the glasses projecting something onto your reality. The trick is battery life and connectivity. So I'd say in 5 to 7 years, we'll have something more viable on the eyeglasses style technology. Do you think cryptocurrencies will be used in the metaverse in the future? Yes. If we want to have a portable identity, we definitely want our money to move with us. Cryptocurrencies aren't going away. It's not going to be 100 trillion anytime soon, but it is $1 trillion market. And the fact that you now have institutional asset management firms like BlackRock and Fidelity launching ETFs suggests that mainstream financial services are beginning to embrace cryptocurrencies, and we see that trend continuing. So on that note, I hope still, I'm going to be just a second because I really wish I was a little more organized today, but all right, I'm going to show you this other thing and try to find it. So here are some robots. This is what happens when delivery robots operate in crime-ridden blue cities. And I'm going to look really quick for this other Twitter.
Oh my God. Not snacking.
Okay, here it is.
Oh man, look at it. Somebody knocked them over.
So, of course, it's not just blue cities. It's all cities, okay? Cities are just crime-ridden. This is what I wanted to show you right here. It's only 1 minute and 3 seconds. It has to do with banking.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new accounting is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well.
Yeah, there you have it. Now, maybe she was just saying this is what's happening. Not that she wants it, but since she's talking with a bunch of other central planners, I'm assuming that she wants it. This, which, by the way, you know, bold prediction from myself here. Unfortunately, I think next year is going to be chaotic in many ways. If you've seen what's going on in Ireland, it's going to come here too that way, unfortunately. I don't know what the solution is. Obviously, it's not to let people stab other people's children or anything like that. So you do have a right to defend yourself, but where does that line stop? That's a whole nother conversation. But next year, I think in March, we're going to have a serious bank problem. March for a couple reasons. One, rebel capitalist George Gammon, he made a video about basically the debt is rolling over in March and we won't be able to pay the interest payments. And so that will probably trigger the banking collapse. It's just a theory. I don't know. But also March is a really good time astrologically. And so again, billionaires and trillionaires actually look at the stars and make plans based on where the stars are aligned. And March is a good time for getting things done that you want to get done. So I don't have but 2 more things to show you. This AI can figure out sewing patterns from a single photo of clothing. Creating a sewing pattern from an existing garment can be a time-consuming task, but now an artificial model can do it from a photo. Zoltan says, just curious, what other YouTubers or streamers are you a fan of? Well, one of them is rebel capitalist George Gammon, for sure. I like to watch a variety because I think that it's important to know, you know, what's going on in the church. I watched Return to Tradition because he's a rad trad Catholic, and it's really interesting to see what they're talking about and what they're concerned about when it comes to the Catholic Church. Because again, very, very powerful, and they're going to be at the United Nations this Thursday. It's such a great question. I watch probably 50 regularly different people. I'll think of some other ones. I like Joe Rogan. I don't watch him as much anymore since he's not on YouTube. He's on Spotify. He introduces topics, which is what I think is very valuable about Joe Rogan's channel. That way you can dive in for yourself. But I watch a lot of BookTube too, so I'm not gonna lie. I like watching people talk about books, which is definitely niche. But geopolitical stuff. Oh, here's another one for you I love. Gerald Celente has a terrible potty mouth, but he is on point. He's the Trends Journal guy. He's got a great YouTube channel. Please check him out. I like a lot of macroeconomics, so that's a lot of what I watch about what's going on with banking and stuff. Thank you for the question. I definitely watch way too much YouTube, but it's educational, so that's how I justify it. Connie says they are going after the rural areas too. All the push for Wi-Fi, 5G, and Dollar Generals every 10 or so miles. You are so right about those dang Dollar Generals. I hate it. Because what they're doing is they're crushing small business. Of course. I can't stand them, but you're right about everything else too. That's why I want to talk about Biden's rural plan, because it's about infiltrating and making sure everybody gets in the metaverse. Really. They say it's about everybody getting 5G, but no, it's about everybody being able to tap in to the matrix. The one thing I wanted to highlight here is, let me just type it, digital, oops, come here. Twin, there. What? I could have swore that it said something about a twin, digital twin in here. So artificial intelligence can turn the photo into a sewing pattern. which is, of course, very cool. There's a lot of cool things that technology could do for us to speed up. We could create way more, we could create different clothes from different materials. I don't know where I was going with it. It could just make life easier to be more creative, I suppose, to create more things, to discover more if we had help with the technology rather than letting it take us over. So right here, there it is. The first most important application will be in virtual reality or the metaverse, says Zhu, who wants the technology to be able to recreate digital versions of clothes people see and wear in real life. So there we go. But he also hopes that it can be useful in the real world. So it's basically for your avatar in your video game to have different clothes, you need to be able to digitally render those clothes. So the AI is helping with that. This is the Grand Rapids Soccer Stadium. I just wanted to show the layout of this and kind of compare it to, this is the Expo City that the United Nations is visiting right now as we speak in Dubai. And this is what I foresee Grand Rapids kind of looking like. You have the amphitheater that they're building, and then they have the soccer stadium. They're trying to make an Expo City out of Grand Rapids. So there's not really much new information. I just wanted to show this picture. I thought there were more pictures, but they're all just ideas anyway, so who knows? It could completely change. But the other thing, real quick, look at this. Favorability rating, Whitmer is beating Trump and Biden, according to this. Now, maybe this is old, but this just came out yesterday, and I couldn't find the exact news that showed this rating, so I can't verify the date. But it's just to prove my point on Whitmer. People really love her or hate her. I mean, if you lived under her tyranny, you might hate her. But these other individuals that, that are pro-abortion, they absolutely love her. So it's just looking more and more like she will be a candidate in the 2024 elections. And one more, Biden bypasses Congress to create Climate Corps. Whitmer announces a Michigan version. This came out September 22nd, and I did cover it, but it's just a reminder that she is absolutely copying and is totally lockstep in line with Biden. They hold hands, right? They're the bestest of friends. So I think that's all I had to share with you. I feel like sometimes I'm just trying to update you with everything that I have found in my research and that you should know about. It's kind of a variety pack. One more. I'm going to share one more, and then I have to go feed my mother-in-law lunch. This is at Being Libertarian, Ireland. Your rights don't come from the government. Nobody's rights come from the government. This is why it's so important to have something outside of man. They can only take away what you allow them.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good.
You know who else said that? The dictator that was in charge of Germany in the 30s.
Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good. When you think
So it's not just dictators here. Obviously, Ireland is dealing with it as well. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the Conor McGregor thing. From what I know, I'm on Conor McGregor's side. Again, I'm not for war, but I'm also not for just allowing your civilians to get stabbed by migrants. Okay? And let's just be real. This is what's happening. The The powers that be are flooding countries that they want to collapse with refugees. That is why we're going into war. That is why everything that's happening is all by design, unfortunately. The United Nations is sneaking in people. You know what? I've been talking about this for a while. I'm going to see if I can find it. United Nations border. Let's see. U.S. border. See if I can find this. Anyone surprised? Absolute madness. No more tax dollars to the UN. United Nations funds illegal immigrants to the southern border with U.S. tax dollars. That's the Epoch Times. There was actual video that showed a guy that has a passport. Let's see, United Nations card. There we go.
We don't have money, so and they haven't deposited the work. We don't have money, so and they haven't deposited my account. ¿Cuánto te depositaban? El depósito es 7 de enero a 14 de enero, pero no depositan nada. Yeah. So the whole month of January you haven't received anything.
What were they supposed to receive in there?
¿Cuánto es lo que te dan? Es el último pago. ¿Cuánto fue? De 4. El dinero, 3,600 pesos. 3,600 pesos was the last payment I received.
And
3,600 pesos, I think is what he said. So what is that in dollars? That's put on a card that the United Nations gave him.
It goes. Does that go into your bank account?
¿A dónde va? ¿Tienes una cuenta? ¿Una tarjeta? Sí. ¿Tienes?
Oh, let me see.
Boom, business card, United Nations.
And how much is anything on that card now at all? Any money?
Dinero? No hay dinero. No hay nada. No depositan nada. Work.
So he's complaining that they haven't put money on his card. But this is just one piece of proof that the United Nations is absolutely, and it's not just America, but it's happening here. And so that's why next year is going to be so crazy. If you're in the city, be prepared because this is planned. And they're probably paid to not attack, but attack, I guess, yeah, at specific times. I mean, if you are paid, if you accept the digital ID, the government basically owns you. You want to get the money, you do what they tell you, right? United Nations border. Let's see if I can find anything else really quick. But I think that everybody should be aware of exactly what's going on. So I can't find it right now. I think that's everything I have for you. I'm just double checking because I have like 25 things lined up. Share this one more time. MDOT adding flashing lights, camera monitoring to signs in Grand Rapids, an effort to crack down on wrong way drivers. So again, just saw this last night. Look out for it. They're saying it's for safety. It's to protect you, but it has nothing to do with protection at all. Let's get this out of there. All right, guys. So let me know what you think. If you learned anything new or are interested in any topic that you want me to dive into, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, I will do better at having some ideas about what to share with you. Maybe I'll actually just do a video, maybe 10 or 12 YouTube channels or podcasts that you need to know about. I think that would be interesting. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. And hello, Janine. Thank you for joining me. I'm about to end the stream, unfortunately, but I do notice that more people trickle in later. So one of the things I'm going to reconsider for next year is the time slot. I would like to do it later in the evening. It's just difficult, but I'm going to figure it out. So again, thanks for showing up and hanging out. And then the man says, when is the space stream? You know, I'll try to get it done actually before the end of the year on Rumble. So we'll say December, and I will let you know for sure once I get all the information together. So look out for that. Thank you for the interest. Hopefully, I won't alienate too many of my viewers with my ideas on space and NASA and all that jazz. because it is out there. Thank you guys again. Connie says, great job as usual, Michelle. No to the evening. I'm already watching much at night. Okay, yeah, cool. I mean, like I said, it is much more difficult. The time slot in the morning is better, but I was thinking maybe even early afternoon instead, if I did it from like 1 to 3. But otherwise, I don't mind this slot. It's the easiest for me, for sure. So tomorrow, Biden, the rule playbook. Hopefully I have all of my notes together and I'm prepared and ready to go. Make sure you check the community tab just in case over on YouTube if I decide to postpone it for one more week, or if my husband doesn't have to work or anything else. I always update in the community tab on YouTube. So check that out. But as of right now, I'm planning tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to talk about Biden's rural playbook and what it means for you, no matter if you're a Michigander or not. This is a federal program. It's a brand new department that is going to create brand new regulations. Don't you love that? All right, guys. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow or Monday for sure, 10 a.m. Have a good one.